Hello and welcome to 27 by 40, a video podcast about movie posters. This is episode 8. Each week, myself, Chris,
and this is Emmett,
pick our top 5 posters of a given year, show them to each other, and discuss them.
Yeah, talk about why we picked them, and basically, I know we probably say this every time, but it's all based off of like the posters themselves, not so much the movies. Like how we feel about movies can affect our decisions sometimes to a certain degree, but like it's more based on the actual poster, and we don't necessarily have to have seen the movie or to like the movie necessarily. It's just the aesthetics of like how much we think that's a good movie poster.
Yeah. So this week we're doing 1994.
Yeah.
We've done a couple of early 90s previously.
Yeah.
What was it? We did
91 and 92.
91, 92. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we've got to do 93 and then we've...
Yeah, I mean, it does seem a bit crazy but at the same time, it's like, well, 90s are also kind of a bit of a comfort zone for us in many ways, too.
Yeah.
So, but, you know, this is more mid-90s, I guess, or heading towards it. So it's a little different than the earlier 90s.
Weird year for movies. Weird. A lot of like... Do you like movies with animals in them? A lot of movies with animals in them this year.
Spoilers, I do not have any animal movies on my list.
I also... I can't... I can't say that...
You don't remember what you picked?
No, tangentially animal-related
Okay, all right.
movie poster.
Interesting.
Yeah,
Oh, can't wait to see what that means.
yeah. All right. So
So we usually just go back and forth.
Yeah.
So
Starting with you this week.
we're going to start with me. All right.
Starting with your number 5.
All right, so it's my 5. My 5 is The Shadow.
Nice. Nice.
Yeah, it's
Comic book
a
adaptation.
little bit more, and it's a little more comic booky kind of style. I mean, it's Michael Kaluta, or however you say his name, was the actual artist who he did the poster. Cool little logo, pretty minimalist. Got a little tagline there. I mean, who knows what evil lurks in the hearts of men? It's just literally the classic original tag, like what do you call it? Like catchphrase for the Shadow from like back in the radio days.
The Shadow knows.
The Shadow, obviously, like super old. Like, I mean, it was like pulp magazines, a radio program with Orson Welles. Actually, interestingly. So I mean, this one, it's definitely going back a bit more than like your typical sort of comic booky superhero type of thing. It's kind of pre that. But
I quite like this movie too.
I have not seen it in a long... I saw it in the theater, actually. But I haven't seen it in a long time. I don't know if I've ever seen it in its entirety since the theater, to be honest. So that'd be like 30 years. I might have. I don't remember. But I should watch it again.
That's a good point. These are this is exactly 30-year-old movie posters.
Yeah.
Wow. Huh.
Yeah. But I should watch it again. But yeah, I just think, speaking of the minimalist kind of thing that we talk about, I think it's a pretty cool, nice, moody...
Pops nicely.
Yeah, with like the sort of blue and green and then just the black. Yeah.
I'm going to use the word that I use a lot when it comes to a movie poster that I like, evocative.
Yeah. Yeah, like it's not the best, but there's not a whole lot going on. But it's cool.
All right. So my number 5.
Okay. Yeah.
Blink.
Yeah.
Never seen this, but I really like the way they incorporated the title over her eyes, and it's Blink and eyes, but then it's like there's another image inside the text.
It's well done.
Yeah. Again, like...
Not sure about the color.
Pretty simplistic.
It's almost like borderline sepia.
Yeah. I've seen like there was a few like... and I wasn't sure what was this is just the one off IMDb, so I assume this is the more...
Maybe a little more red would have been nice.
I saw ones that were more red, and I wasn't sure.
But design-wise, it's very good.
I also think this poster probably were good in black and white, too.
Yeah.
Just due to the nature of the...
it might have been a little too, like, meh in black and white, but it's incredible design.
Yeah.
And a really interesting use of the... I mean, you're basically getting 3 things.
Yes. It's like
in terms of the title, the image inside the title and then seeing her eyes through it.
But her eyes are like in both.
Yeah.
They're kind of like in both the inside picture and outside picture.
Yeah, it's pretty impressive. And they really keep it minimal with the text.
Yeah, the tagline almost so minimal, like you might not even notice it, like the way they put that in there.
Yeah, it's kind of the right size. It's like you don't have to strain your eyes to read it, but like it also
doesn't distract from what they really...
Yeah. Exactly, yeah. Yeah, no, it's good. It's a good one.
You're number 4.
Yeah. So, can't have a 90s movie, one without a Luc Besson movie. So this is sort of like a slight spin on the French poster, because the French poster is the one that's just his face.
Yeah.
And then it's a little bit more... I don't know where this one is from. I know it was a release poster.
Yeah, well, it's got everything on there that indicates the release poster.
But it's not the normal US poster, because that one just says The Professional.
Yeah.
And it has a different image that's the one that's just like the 2-shot
right
with them.
Yeah.
That's the full.
Could just be a variation on the French one.
Yeah, but it definitely has like some, because it has like the Columbia Pictures.
Oh yeah, it's got all the correct.
So it's got like, I don't know, maybe it's like a European release one.
Could be.
But I like this one based on how it places the title. And the fact that it has like the image from the movie of them together, because the problem with the one that's like the original French one that's just his face is like, by not having Natalie Portman on there, it's just a bit kind of weird, because it sort of loses a lot of like the central, because it's like she's really the protagonist of the movie.
By putting it this way, it's almost like, okay, no tagline on this. That second image is sort of like the assistance. Yeah. It does what a tagline is going to do.
But having, I realize the movie's named after his character, but like not having her character on there is a bit weird to me, because she is basically the protagonist, really, even though this is named after him. So I think this is a good compromise, showing them, together in the movie, and then, but also having that very cool shot of Jean Reno's face.
I can hear his French accent looking at this poster.
And then I like the title placement in the middle, in between.
Yeah. Don't get that too often.
Whereas,
usually it's high or low.
Yeah, I think on the French version it's on the side.
It goes like
the face picture. Yeah, like the face picture is all the way down, and then the title's on the side.
I can see how they could cut that from this one.
And then, like I said, the American one is like, because they
dropped the
called it just The Professional. And then it's kind of just down. It's just like more of a normal movie logo at the bottom, I think. But I really like the placement on this. So of what I saw, this was my preferred, I think, one. I definitely remember the American one, like from the time, like that would have been what we would have first seen. And I remember the French one from like later on. I think they used it.
I think this might be the cover to like the VHS or something, because it's very familiar to me, like this poster.
Maybe.
Yeah, like this particular layout.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah. No, like great. Good lighting, like a color work on it.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
And like I said, it's like, it's hard to do a 90s when there was a Luc Besson movie and not have, because there's just been, he's got great posters for his movies.
All right, so my number 4.
Oh yeah,
Quiz Show,
classic.
Great movie. As it turns out, all the ones other than Blink, my other 4, all movies that I've seen and enjoyed, which is very rare. Cool. That's not usually how it turns out when we do these. So but it's
classic shot.
Kind of like shows nothing, but also says a lot.
Yeah,
the tagline above the. Before you see the title of the film.
Yeah.
I just really like the framing of it and everything.
Yeah, it's good.
Not anything in particular.
It's always interesting where you have the instead of having like
like the character's face,
going from behind the back is such an interesting.
No, not a like who is this? Yeah. Like you don't I mean, if you've seen the movie, you know.
Yeah, but it's a cool. Yeah. It's good. It's good. I always think of Quiz Show mainly in relation to, because I'm a huge fan of the show What's My Line?
Oh.
And the whole Quiz Show scandal thing is the reason why on What's My Line, the prizes were basically like inconsequential to the
Right.
show. Like
It was more about the entertainment
they didn't want
and
it
not
to
the
be
prize.
perceived as that there could be any impropriety going on.
Right.
So the top prize remained $50 for the entire run of the show, even when like $50 was like basically nothing. And in the later seasons, especially, John Daly, who's like called the moderator, basically the host, he would often like very arbitrarily like flip the cards to like a higher prize just for the hell of it, because it was like it didn't matter, because they made it very clear, like it was just basically like oh yeah, like prize,
we're here for entertainment.
Yeah, it's just it's because, and it was all because of this happening, and like basically
because this is based on
they were afraid of any like possibility of like seeming,
because this
like,
was such a big deal when this actually happened.
Oh yeah, because before that happened, before the scandal broke, it was like people took it very seriously. It was like quiz shows. It was this very they were so invested. It was like a big deal. Well, so it affected basically like everything from like as far as TV from that point on, basically.
Many years before those kind of shows started having, like, wasn't until like the rise of like Wheel of Fortune and stuff like that those shows started having like actual like bigger prizes.
Probably like the 70s was where like game shows and stuff really came back into a big thing.
Yeah, probably under much more scrutiny than.
Oh yeah. And I mean, it still happens that people find ways to cheat occasionally, but it's pretty hard. In the modern...
Well, because most modern game shows fall into one of two categories. Whether it's like clearly you need to have knowledge in something, or you're never going to, or it's so random it doesn't matter.
Yeah, and if people do cheat, it was always especially things like Price is Right, because people could figure out like they could basically research and kind of figure. But it's like that wasn't being done with the participation of the show.
Exactly.
The whole thing with the scandal was the fact that the show, the people running the show were actually cheating the show.
Yeah.
Right.
It was dirty on the inside.
Yeah, and that was the big deal.
Yeah.
So yeah. Good stuff.
Your number 3.
Yeah.
Hudsucker Proxy. Love this movie.
Yeah. In looking at stuff about it for the fact that of doing this, I realized that I don't think I've seen it.
We've had this conversation.
And I feel really bad about that, because obviously I'm a huge fan of the Coen Brothers films. I like everybody involved. Everything that I've heard about, like, the kind of
movie
almost kind of fairy tale-ish kind of way of the, how this plays out. Like, it seems like super up my alley. I somehow seem to have missed it. I feel like maybe in my brain,
like you think you've seen it, so you
like
just put
clips. Certain clips made me think that like I'd seen it, and then like realizing like, oh wait, like I don't actually know the full story. I feel like now that I haven't seen
I've had movies like that where I've seen so many trailers. I think I've seen the film.
This movie, doing this now, this movie just like jumped to the top of my list of like, I need to see this.
And the poster really...
But it's a great poster. I mean, come on. I mean, I love that old-timey kind of thing anyways.
Yeah. It does actually have the poster feels very of the era of when the actual movie takes place.
Yeah, like it's like a modern take on like a 50s kind of poster.
Except we've looked at some 50s posters and they actually didn't look like this so much.
Yeah, but it still has that...
Not enough little squares with faces in them.
Yeah, but I wouldn't like it as much.
No.
I mean, the way they did this, like the way they
Better
put
composition.
Jennifer Jason Leigh and Paul Newman's faces in there, and the way it's that kind of smoky sort of, that wispy kind of, like that's cool.
Yeah.
And that kind of semi, like it sort of looks painted, but like...
Yeah, it does kind of have that vibe,
but like
doesn't
not
it?
quite. It's hard to...
Whatever the filter is or whatever the finishing touch they did.
Yeah, I don't know how exactly they did it, but...
Some kind of high-low contrast or something. Yeah.
I mean, it could actually be painted. There are literally people who can paint like that. Like that photo real kind of painting. Yeah. And then like the way the title is done is interesting.
Yeah.
It's very unique.
I think in the movie the font that it says Hudsucker is like literally like the company
like
that's
it's on the
there.
building?
That's there, yes. I think that's why it looks like
I guess
that.
I'll have to watch it.
Yeah.
But I just thought, what a great, with the ring.
Yeah.
And then
I'd do this for the pod.
His face through
I'd
it.
watch it again, for sure.
Well, I don't know. We're pretty full up.
Yeah, I know.
It might be something I should just go ahead and
do
watch
on your
on my
own.
own.
Yeah.
Just because at least you've seen it. Yeah. But yeah, I don't know. I thought it was
No, it's good.
I thought it was a good choice. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
I went with Being Human.
Yeah. I saw... It's a great poster, but like I hesitated on the fact of like, knowing that like this was considered like a disaster of a movie that pretty much like ruined Bill Forsyth's career basically. I was like, maybe I won't go there, but it is a great poster.
Simple. It's, for me, it's very much a poster where the contents of the poster and the images they show, your image that is being shown, and the title like really meld very well. Oh, he's like on the beach contemplating. Yeah. And like, what about? Oh, being human? Like,
it's one of those ones where it's like you can kind of, it doesn't really matter what the actual movie is.
Yeah.
You can kind of just get, just from the title and the image, you can kind of pull something from it.
The vibes coalesce nicely.
Super vibey.
I also like how it's not like the image is, it's got kind of like a grain to it. It's not like this super sharp, like they deliberately were like it's like a Polaroid somebody took at the beach kind of thing or something like that.
That's not bad.
But yeah.
It was like teetering. But I was like, I don't know.
Like the Bill Forsyth thing, I didn't even think of that actually at the time. I forgot that this.
No, I mean it's fine. It's just one of those like things where I was just like, I don't know.
It just affected by outside.
Also, it's almost a little too like I feel like that guy like just
a little on the nose,
like wistfully, just like, oh man, contemplating life.
And a pair of shoes. Looking for a pair of shoes.
Maybe it feels a little too real. Maybe a little too close.
Well, I mean, that's the movie, right? Yeah. Like you watch the movie and there is a lot of like this hits home a little too hard, some sort of like All right, so this is your 2.
Yeah, I mean, hard to go wrong. It's such a classic.
Okay,
it's such an iconic, I guess would be the best word.
It's like the movie poster of movie posters.
Yeah, like if you were to say, like, if you were just to sum up and be like, what is like the iconic movie poster of the 90s, it would probably have to be this. Because it's so...
It looks... Well, because, I mean, it's designed to kind of look like a pulp comic, but also looks like...
More like a...
dime novel, like but also, like, does have a lot of the stylings of, like, that older... Yeah, like movie poster stuff.
10 cents.
Yeah, 10 cents. I mean, obviously, the resolution and the color and everything clearly.
Of course, but that's what makes it great is that it's this combination of the modern and the old.
Yeah.
And obviously all those like little distress marks and stuff is part of the.
Yeah,
that's not poster. It's not because the poster is in bad condition. That's literally part of it.
Yeah,
it's meant to look like an old like dog-eared,
Sometimes it's hard to find a photo that doesn't look like this.
But I just felt like it is a great image. It's a great composition. But also, I just feel like it's kind of the most iconic poster of that decade, probably in many ways.
For sure. I think I may have overlooked this one because it. Like, in my mind, like, maybe it felt like not too obvious, but like, yes, of course, that's a great movie poster. Yeah. And then I just went to the next one.
But if it's a great movie poster,
I know.
It should be on the list.
I do feel like I was a bit remiss by not having this one.
That being said, while I would agree that it is probably the most iconic and sort of famous in many ways and, like, best in that sense movie poster from the era, it's still my number 2.
Yeah.
So we got one more to go for me. So I wonder what that could be.
Yeah.
No idea.
All right. So my number 2.
Yeah. Really?
The Shadow. Yes. I love this poster.
You're all about the whole minimalist approach. I mean, you've done posters that have basically nothing on it.
Yes.
On here. And I've been like, I don't know about this, man.
But called this a movie poster. Yeah. But I really like how...
You definitely appreciate your minimalism in posters.
Yeah. I really like how this one is set up.
Yeah.
We talked about it as your number 5 there. The colors, the way it almost looks like a bit like chromed or shiny, and no, I really love. This is one of those like, I'd put that on my wall.
Yeah, I mean, well, the thing is
the Pulp Fiction one also too. Yeah, I believe you did have that poster when that movie.
I might have had one, at some point.
I feel like a lot of people.
I don't think I would now, just because like that would give the impression that like, oh, that must be like your favorite movie.
Yeah. You're really into Quentin Tarantino, right?
Not so much anymore. Like definitely as time has gone on, like it's lost some of its sheen in terms of like, it wouldn't even. It's not even close to my favorite Tarantino movie at this point, even. So, but at the time I probably did when I was more of a poster guy.
Yeah.
I used to have a lot of posters, it's true.
Yeah.
I used to really like posters.
I had a lot more like comic book style posters.
Yeah.
And literally comic book posters, usually comic book artists. Yeah. And that's why like something like this really grabs me a bit more.
For sure. Yeah. But it's also, I think that a more minimalist approach is actually better as like a wall art type of thing. Like a too busy.
Yeah, not quite so distracting.
Wouldn't work as well, I think. Yeah, I mean, I'm still searching for a good poster, like a Superman the movie, like a really nice. Because like if I were to have one poster that I would want, like nice on the wall, like maybe even framed, like a really nice version, it would be like a really good Superman the movie poster. But
I've always been partial to that one. I guess slightly spoilers for whenever we get to that to that year. Was that 78?
What, Superman?
Yeah. That's right, because I almost did it by accident when we did 79.
Yeah.
Is the where it's just like the clouds and then the symbol?
Yeah, well, that's what I'm talking about. That's the one.
Yeah,
but it's like it's not easy to find.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Nice. All right, so now on to your number one.
Yep.
Which, as it hasn't come up yet, I think it might be actually the same as my number one.
Okay.
But let's see.
Okay.
Oh, it is not.
Reality
Holy
Bites?
cow. Wow, this one.
It is incredible. I love this poster so much.
It definitely pops.
And it's so 90s that it almost hurts. Like my teeth almost hurt. Yeah. I would say like while Pulp Fiction is probably the most like
I'm 17 again looking at this poster.
While Pulp Fiction is probably the most like iconic, famous like whoa 90s poster, this is probably the most like nostalgic for me. This is the one that puts me most in that frame of mind and feeling like that age again.
What's that quote we always do from this movie?
Oh, well, like, you mean like the glitch?
Yeah, what is your glitch?
Like, what is your glitch? And he's like, my glitch?
Yeah.
It's such a weird way to, like, put it. I mean,
it's a good poster.
It's like...
It says movie poster right on it.
It does, yeah. But yeah, like, just all those little kind of, credit cards, friends, run events.
It's all like,
hey, that's my bike.
The tribulations,
love, relationships, trust, jobs, channel surfing. It's like in my mind, this is like, Winona Ryder, Ethan Hawke, and Ben Stiller will always be this age.
Yeah.
It's very hard to accept that they're older now and that I am older now.
Yeah.
And I mean, even putting like the tagline of like a comedy about love in the 90s is like very dating it.
Yeah.
Like they're making no attempts to like, this is not a timeless movie.
No.
This is a movie very rooted, it's like Singles.
Yes. I was going to say.
Like it's a movie that is extremely rooted in its time and place and is only going to be like a snapshot of that. Yeah. But because of that, it's extremely nostalgic for me. And I just think aesthetically that white and red, that sort of, and then that specific blue and the way that they saturate like the white and how it's like, gives like how they look sort of.
Yeah. Well, they look almost like washed out.
Yeah, like washed out.
Yeah.
But in a way that is like very aesthetically.
A good font on the sort of the weird narrow. Again, like it's kind of being like bleached away or something like that.
And I like the whole like sort of, using like the blue background and then like the two guys kind of being very blue, her being in the middle red, and then the title red.
Yeah.
I mean, the only other thing they could have done is
speaking of movies I haven't seen in 30 years.
Yeah.
I don't think I've seen this.
The only thing they could have done, and it would have been made it more symmetrical, but it would have actually not been as good, I don't think.
Is them in red and her in blue?
No, if they made the first names blue and then the second names red, whereas they have them in black and red.
See, I have to unfortunately immediately disqualify this poster because the names across the top
Right.
do not line up with the actors
But
below.
that's classic though. That's almost every.
I know.
That's-
And it bugs me every
I think
time
they
I
do
see
it on purpose.
I think it bugs me every time
I think
see
they
it.
100% do it on purpose.
I don't. Yeah. I
Well,
don't.
it's because billing. It's because like
Well, Winona Ryder was the most famous person
Yeah,
when,
like-
when this movie came out.
billing order is like a very technical,
Yeah.
like that's like a contractual, like going into it.
I always think of billing order as top to bottom, not left to right. But of course, because you read left to right,
it depends on if it's going
well,
vertical
exactly.
or horizontal.
Yeah.
If it's going horizontal,
I don't think
then-
about it when I read left to right. Like,
Yeah.
to me, they're all equal here because, but because it's clearly.
Yeah, if it's horizontal, then you left to right. If
Yeah.
it's vertical, that's top to bottom.
Yeah.
But yeah, so like because of that, the art department that's making that promotional material,
they have to
that
consider
has
all
nothing to do with the billing order because those are completely separate things.
Yeah.
And so typically it ends up being that the order will not be the same as it is in the picture. And that's why, like, sometimes not being based off of a picture of the cast members is a good thing because then you don't have to worry about that problem.
Even like artistically, they even had to fudge around a little bit because they went with they made the last names like larger than the first names.
Yeah.
But it doesn't quite work because the length is different between, like, Ben Stiller's an easy one because Stiller's way longer than Ben. Winona Ryder's shorter. So they had to we're going to have to squish Winona and pull out Ryder a bit. Pick a font that works no matter how we do it. That's what I mean. Like,
I think it's great.
They really paid attention to that kind of thing.
Yeah. I love it, man. I love everything about it so much. It was like not even questionable that it would be one or not one.
Yeah. No, that's good. All right. Okay, well, you're going to be very disappointed in my number one then.
Well, I usually am.
Yeah. Oh, it hurts. It hurts.
That's what having different people in the world is for. I've learned there's a Twilight Zone episode where there's a guy who just gets annoyed at having to deal with people all the time, and at one point, because he figures out that he can use, through the power of willpower, he can change reality, and at one point first he gets rid of everyone in the world. But then he realizes that kind of sucks. Just be on your own.
So he makes
everyone else in the world him.
Yeah.
And then he realizes how horrible it is to have to deal with yourself all the time.
Yeah.
You need to have other people.
Yeah.
But having other people can also just be really annoying sometimes. But that's life.
It's part of the experience.
Yeah. It's worse if you don't have that variety. You think you want other people to just be the same as you and have the same opinions, but you don't. It would be worse. Anyways, number one.
Animal adjacent. The Crow.
Yeah.
I love this.
I mean,
speaking of a poster that I had on my wall.
Oh, I mean, movie-wise, obviously it would be at the top. But like to me, it's just
doesn't.
No, because there's nothing there. I mean, if it was a little closer up, maybe. But he looks like a little action figure. Like he's barely visible.
It's got the light coming down.
I know. I know that's
he's like
your
an
thing.
Angel, and because that's the believe in angels.
Well, I know your thing. Your thing is always that like.
The stripe,
down, the stripe with the small image in the middle of it.
Yeah.
But to me,
I mean, I like the other version of this poster too, where it's just the crow, like the art piece with the name, like, and that's all it is.
That would be better
like
to me.
I kind of like that one
I
too.
hate this because
but this is the
I hate it, man.
You hate this?
I hate it.
Wow, I think this is our first because decisive.
He looks like a little like. He looks like a toy. Like he just like you can barely see him.
It's Brandon Lee action figure.
You can barely see him, and then. The white stripe with like the black around, and then the crow, just the title being red, it totally clashes. And it just doesn't. Oh, it's
see,
terrible.
for me, this is very of the era as well. Like,
it's iconic because it is the poster and it is associated with a great film. Like I said, like obviously, if we were doing movies of this time,
this was probably our
this would be number one.
Absolutely.
But I hate this poster.
Wow.
I hate it.
Okay, so there was no chance this was going to be on your list. Very interesting. Very interesting.
I want it to be.
Yeah.
But
not this one.
Not this poster. It's terrible.
Fair enough. Yeah.
I mean, the thing is that I say that, but like it works because as I've said before, I don't really.
Are you doing a data? I hate this. More, please. Yes.
No. Here's the thing. Here's the thing, right? Like I've never cared about posters in the way that like before we did this, in the way of like how it is with us doing this.
Oh, I see.
Because like I don't watch movies based on the poster.
No,
I don't
for sure
see a poster and go like, oh, that looks like a good movie.
Yeah.
You know, I see movies based on if the movie itself seems interesting or if it's got people.
Director,
cast, a trailer maybe.
Yeah.
But a poster has never. I mean,
well, because the thing is with a poster is like a poster can show you so much.
It's very passive for one thing.
Well, it's passive, but also a poster can show you so much, either a lot or a little. Mm-hmm. But it's not until you see the movie, you have no idea of what it's showing you is anything.
Now, that being
right?
said, there are some very particular cases that stand out in my mind of like seeing posters, like when they used to do, like in the theater, they would have like the upcoming, like back before the internet and stuff, when you couldn't just know everything that was coming out and like watch a trailer.
All you had was a poster.
You know, sometimes you
hopefully you caught the trailer in front of another movie.
Yeah, like sometimes you wouldn't even know a certain movie was coming until you saw like one of those like standee posters in the theater. Right?
Well, there was a page in the newspaper you'd go to and it would say "coming soon."
Yeah,
and you'd
yeah.
be like,
but even then, like that would be maybe that's coming out in the next couple weeks. But like for things like a few months away,
who knows?
Sometimes, but for big releases, you would sometimes get those like teaser posters.
Yeah,
it'd be almost like a teaser, but in a poster form. And there are some of those that are pretty memorable and pretty like, oh wow! Like I remember when the like Batman Returns one, where it was just like the bat symbol, but with like the frost and like snow, you know, because it was the whole like Christmas version.
Terminator 2 poster where it just said T2 and that was it.
Yeah.
And you were like, if you didn't know, you were just like, what's T2 the movie? Like, what is this T2 movie?
Or like when we talked about we actually talked about this when we did our 92 episode with Bram Stoker's Dracula, where the original teaser poster was just the little gargoyle kind of image, and then it had the beware thing, but it didn't tell you anything else. It didn't have the title. Stuff like that. There are certain things but those are the exceptions that prove the rule.
Yeah.
For the most part, posters have never been the thing that makes me go like, whoa, I gotta see that movie.
Yeah.
They're just a thing. They're just part of the marketing. They're part of a thing.
Yeah.
So it's not really until we started doing this that I really started paying attention, really caring about posters that much. So for something like The Crow, it's like the fact that The Crow has what to me is like a terrible poster doesn't really impact. It has nothing to do with the movie. Most of my favorite movies have posters that I do not care about.
That's what I think. That's why I thought it was kind of interesting. It was like, oh yeah, I like most of the movies that came up, but both yours and mine that came up, because usually it's a bunch of movies that either we haven't seen. Turns out if you don't see the movie, it might have a great poster. Turns out, and then it's like, oh, all my favorite movies this year just had bland posters.
But that doesn't bother me because that was never a huge factor for me. Like I just don't really care. Like the poster is fine because of the movie that it's associated with. Like, you know, like we talked about this for 91. Like the T2 poster is nothing special, but it's an incredible movie. And I like the poster because of it being associated with the movie. But
here's
divorced from that, just as a poster, it's nothing special.
It's possibly outside the scope of what we do here.
Yes.
But an interesting, because we're looking at years past.
Right.
But
we can't look at years future because we don't know.
We do know what movie posters are going to look like for unreleased films. Well, I can go see the upcoming movies. And to look at a movie, I mean, I guess it's in the same way as when we look at a poster and we're like, I haven't seen this movie. But to look at blank slate, like I have no idea. I've seen no trailer, nothing.
Right.
I've never heard of this film to see a poster and go, well, how does this poster
And the problem is that
when we look at old years, like when we look back at like 50s and stuff like that, I think a lot of them fall into that category.
And the problem with things that are like the upcoming is exactly the problem that I said, which is that it's so often now that like you know everything about a movie before it comes out now because everything's covered online and stuff. Yeah. You've seen the trailer online. You've seen
announcements.
You've seen articles about it. You know.
Yeah. Flooded.
Whereas
with that
like
stuff.
in the old days, it was like you just would have no way. Like you might have like a magazine like one of those like like Starlog or like those classic nerdy magazines that we would read would maybe have a listing of like. These are upcoming movies that have been announced that are being worked on. But it's like, a lot of times, like half the time, like a lot of those movies would never even happen.
That was also...
It was a lot of that thing of, they'd be in development hell or like the project would fall through.
Yeah.
And, And then...
And again, well, because a lot of that stuff is, like, when was that article written?
Yeah.
And
like, even then,
to when we
like,
read
the ones
versus...
that do come, it's like you would still have no real context for, like, you'd be like, maybe they know, like, a lead actor that's attached, which, again, would often change because actors would drop out and different ones would come on board as the development happened. And so, like, back then, it was just so, like... Basically, until that movie was out in the theater and you were seeing it, you knew very little. Maybe if you would see a trailer in front of another movie, if it was like a big enough release, but that's about it.
Yeah.
Now it's like we're so saturated with like every bit of information you could possibly want. Like if you want, you could spoil the entire plot of like a new movie that's come out before you even see the movie. If you want to now. That information is out there.
Yeah, it's crazy.
And like, hell, I mean, half the time you can watch it because like, there'll be like bootlegs already online, like instantly.
From some like film festival. Yeah, who knows? Yeah.
So,
no.
It's a very different thing now, unfortunately. And, unless you're really good at just like putting the blinders on and ignoring all that noise, which... I gotta say, like...
It's tough to do.
It's tough to do when you're active online. Yeah, it's just really hard now.
Especially because, like, so much is dumped in headlines, and to avoid the headline, you gotta read the headline, so now it's too late.
Oh, I hate that, man. It's like, I didn't need to know that.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not a big, I must avoid spoilers at all costs, like, guy. Like, whatever, it's not a big deal. Spoilers don't really ruin things for me for the most part. I've had movies where, like, I've read the entire, like Wikipedia summary of the entire plot and then been like, I still want to see that.
Yeah.
Because it's not the same. Like, knowing how the plot plays out and how it ends, it's still a different experience actually seeing it play out. It can spoil it. Like, obviously, there are certain movies where, like, if you know how it's going to go, it does kind of ruin it.
Yeah.
Because there are movies that are constructed very much around the unfolding of, like, and then, like, you got to figure this out. For a lot of movies... doesn't make that much difference, honestly.
Well, I guess it's a difference between, like, is this a journey movie or a destination movie kind of thing.
Yeah. Anyways.
Let's see what we're going to do next time. I'm going to hit shuffle a couple of times here. Shuffle these around. And then click to spin and see if we get 1995. That's how this thing likes to do us.
Oh, well, we got
1944. Huh.
Okay.
Wow. All right. That's our oldest one yet.
Yeah. We didn't have 40s before, right? 51?
51 was our previous oldest, yes.
Yeah, we haven't had 40s.
Because we've done 80s, 90s, 70s, and 2020 last
I'm all right
week.
with this. I would prefer 30s. Because I think 30s has... I don't even know if we have 30s on here, do we?
No, I believe...
We just have 40s?
I believe 40s is when I went... Because when I was looking online, it starts getting a bit dodgy.
Like to find the
posters?
Yeah.
Also, 40s predates... Or 30s predates 27 by 40 as a format.
Yeah.
So... And they came in all sorts of different sizes, and a lot of them were the sideways format and stuff like that.
Well, I'm glad we didn't get 73, because that's way too close to what we've already done.
Yes, that's right on where we've already been.
Yeah. All right, 44.
All right.
Should be interesting.
All right, well, thanks, everyone, for watching this week. We'll be back again in a couple of weeks with 1944. Until then, I'm Chris.
This is Emmett.
Cheers.
Bye-bye.